Hello, hello. I'm Nicole Dunn, the Director of Marketing and Programs at Fast Forward. Welcome to the third class of the Fast Forward Academy. So far, we've learned about business models and distribution ethics, and today we are going to learn all about marketing social impact tech. First, a bit about Fast Forward. We believe the best tech should be applied to our biggest social problems, and that's why we focus exclusively on helping tech nonprofits scale. We launched the Fast Forward Academy to do more of that. Join us for the next 5 weeks for more free classes on scaling social impact tech, taught by leaders like Jahvita Rastafari, who you're about to meet. Outside of the Academy, our main thing is a 3-month accelerator for tech nonprofits. And if you're building social impact tech, apply now. Applications close March 26th. Before we get into marketing, a few quick norms. This class is being recorded. Please stay on mute when you're not speaking. During Q&A, use the raised hand feature to ask a question, which you can find in the reactions tab. And finally, please share about your experiences on social media. We love to hear from you. The Fast Forward Academy was made possible by eBay Foundation and Comcast Business. A big thank you for their support. We'd also like to thank our sustaining premier partners, Google.org, BlackRock, HPE Foundation, Twilio.org, GM, and Okta. They fuel this work. And now for the best part. Today's teacher is Jahvita Rastafari, the Senior Director of Marketing at Code for America. On a day-to-day basis, Jahvita markets Code for America's programs and impact, and she has helped connect millions of underserved Americans to Code for America's services. Jahvita has a decade of experience in digital marketing across the for-profit and nonprofit sectors. And she staunchly believes that tech nonprofit marketing approaches don't need to be that different from those in the for-profit space. Today, she is going to walk us through tried and true marketing principles that you can apply to your own social impact tech startup. We met Jahvita when she generously helped Fast Forward think through the implementation of a new marketing software. And today, we are so grateful that Jahvita is joining us once again to teach us all these important lessons. And with that, please meet Jahvita Rastafari.
Hi, my name is Jahvita Rastafari, and my pronouns are she, her, and I'm here to talk to you today about demystifying marketing. I have a presentation at the beginning, and then we'll save some time for Q&A at the end, and I really look forward to answering all of your questions, so feel free to engage via the chat. All right, so I'm gonna do just a quick pulse check. I would love to just get an idea of who all is in the crowd. So give me a thumbs up if you're the only person on your marketing team. Give me a peace sign if you don't even work on a marketing team, and then give me spirit fingers if you have your teammates here and an awesome marketing team to go along with it. All right, so now that you have indulged me, I'm going to walk through kind of marketing for different, marketing is really different for tech nonprofits. You're really marketing products for problems that markets won't solve or can't solve. And you need to be extra sensitive to the needs of your beneficiary. So your beneficiary could be a customer, a user, a client, or whomever you've identified. And your ability to effectively reach the right person can really transform lives. And I think that's just the beauty of this work. And so I actually have a background in B2B marketing. And so I'm going to draw on some of those principles and talk about how I have applied them in the nonprofit space. And kind of take you through some of those principles today. So as marketers, we often have quite a bit of jargon. So there's a few concepts that I'm going to walk you through really quickly because you might hear me reference them throughout the presentation. So integrated marketing is something that I really like to walk my team through pretty often. And this is kind of what we focus on. And it's really creating a unified and seamless experience for your consumer to interact with your brand. So that can mean from a press release to social content. And what we've seen work really, really well for us is the Serious Decisions Forrester framework. And we've kind of adapted it to our needs. Next is B2B2C, and that's really thinking about building a tool for an organization that ultimately serves a different end user. So for us at Code for America, that means that we really work closely with government, but ultimately the work that we do helps clients, users, whoever those beneficiaries are at the very end. And then lastly, landing pages. We use them quite a bit. And I'm sure you've seen landing pages before. It's really a lead capture page that is used to market a product or program. And you can kind of have an offering, and you want to really think strategically about what you're offering and what information you're capturing to kind of help you move folks down the funnel. And then types of media, I'm sure all of you have seen some version of this, but this is like the simplest media in its simplest form. And so you want to think about it in these three buckets, which is earned media, paid media, and owned media. So you can think about earned media, you can think about social mentions, partnerships, ambassadors, external organic search, your press mentions. Your paid media is pretty straightforward. It's your display ads, your social media ads, retargeting, or PPC. And then owned media is your website, your blog, your social media handles and channels, anything that you have full control of and are kind of like building content for.
Here, you can see Jahvita's marketing roadmap. These outline the 7 steps Jahvita goes through to successfully market a product or a program. Jahvita is going to talk about each step on this map with you today. To convey these concepts, Jahvita is going to walk you through a recently launched Code for America product, Clear My Record, an opt-in digital service for people seeking record clearance from marijuana conviction. To help the government serve everyone who is eligible and implement record clearance at scale, they shifted their focus in 2018 to advance automatic record clearance. You'll hear us referencing Clear My Record throughout all of the different steps of the marketing roadmap. First up, look back before you move forward. Before you put pen to paper on your strategy, Jahvita recommends looking at past retro documents and campaign frameworks. And you should always celebrate your wins. Allow your team to reflect and take the time to celebrate everything that they've accomplished, whether it's from a prior campaign or at the end of the year as you're building out your year-long strategy. So often as marketers, we're moving so fast that we don't have time to pause and celebrate all of our learnings. For Clear My Record, here's what looking back looked like. Jahvita pulled from her corporate B2B background. She knew the power of good landing pages and a good offering, and how effectively it has worked to pair those with an earned media strategy to drive traffic. She thought through how they might adapt that strategy for this very specific use case. She also drew from past knowledge. She and her team knew that government partners and DAs in the past had really valued documentation. So they knew it wasn't enough to have a form that led to a tool. They had to really walk the user through the process. Next up, understand the product or program goals. Before diving into a marketing plan, you should take ample time to deeply understand the problem your organization is trying to solve the product or program. If you're able and you have time, Jahvita recommends setting up a few listening sessions. Try to understand and address the complexities of the objective before you jump into planning.
what we knew was that for Clear My Record and Code for America, we needed to reach district attorneys across California to let them know that that they can use this free tool. The unique problem or challenge here was that it had to be an offline tool, which is not something that we had run into before. But they had access to this free tool. And for, I think most people, free seems like a no-brainer. Why not free if I don't have to pay? But it does raise some flags. And so for our team, we knew that we really had to build trust and credibility. So how do you pick the right marketing goals? You know, the right marketing goals are the ones that support the overall, you know, kind of the broader goals of the organization. And you really have to build those in partnership. You can't do it in a vacuum. You can't do it in a silo. And I think as long as you are keeping those things kind of front and center for your whole team and really guiding them towards there, you'll definitely be on track. And so you want to think about how am I breaking these goals down into really tangible things, and how can I translate those, you know, by day, week, quarter, just kind of depending on what your timeline is and what you're marching towards. So for Clear My Record, we wanted to reach at least 43% of the county's district attorneys to help statewide implementation of the law. So for those of you who are not in California, we have 58 counties. And so we really needed to tackle how can we get the attention of every single one of these counties and get them to understand that they had this tool readily available. It was free. And then also a much larger goal was how can we think about influencing this overall number of convictions that we knew were in the state of California. And then how do we demonstrate in detail the model for successful implementation of automatic record clearance beyond California, right? So how do we start to drum up, build a really good drum beat? How do we get mentions in the news? How do we start to pull traffic so that people kind of get to understand what could this look like? What is the model? And it was really awesome to see this groundswell of support that we saw from government and the overall public, that automatic record clearance was in fact possible. So you got to take time to plan. And I think you really want to think more about, we know that different campaigns have different timelines. So it could be, this has to happen in a month. This is just happening this quarter. And what are the activities and results that we are going to deliver? And so you really want to, you know, kind of paint a picture and be able to kind of map that out with your team. And one way that I've liked to do this in the past is like we use like an easy retro, which is really meant for retrospectives, but kind of mapping out what are the objectives and then building kind of activities underneath each one of those and really bringing your team in to generate as many ideas as possible or activities as possible. And we've used this, you know, kind of time and time again, and it's really easy. It's a really nice thing to be able to go back to, reference as you're trying to build this out. And you can kind of take like 5 to 10 minutes for each objective and just give folks the opportunity to brainstorm in real time. And then as you're building this plan out and kind of like putting the bones and structure behind it, you'll have this really easy tool to reference. So that's what we like to use on our team. There are tons of tools out there that are really similar, but that's one that we use. So then for Clear My Record, some of the strategies in our marketing plan included, kind of building this landing page. We knew that this was going to be the home for all of the things. And ultimately, because this was an offline tool, we needed to create this lead generation form to capture emails and information of district attorneys and their teams. We also knew that they weren't going to, just because someone was going to give us our information right then, they had a year to implement this, right? And so just because someone converted, it didn't mean that there was going to be action taken right then. And because this was an offline tool, we actually were a little blind. And so in addition to the landing page, what we did was we created a thank you page that was able to capture if a district attorney or someone on their team was downloading the guide versus the tool, that those are two very different ways to interact. But if they downloaded the guide and the tool, then for us, that was really, really promising. That meant they were like taking it in, spending time with the team to understand what it was that they needed to do together collectively. And then we could follow up. We were there as a resource. We built a drip campaign, meaning as soon as I, Jahvita Rastafari, put my information in, I got an email right away that gave me the exact same information that they were seeing on the screen. I don't know about you, but whenever I download a PDF guide, I'm like, where did it go? And so we really wanted to make it as easy as possible and have district attorneys be able to reference this back in their inbox in a really quick way. So this is just a quick outline. We've since, now that the work is done, we've had to take the form down, but this just kind of outlines what the Clear offering was. We had a form there, and then on the other side of that is where there was a thank you page that had all of these assets, right, readily available for the district attorneys and their teams. And so this is where the trigger happened. This is where we were able to capture those actions. So downloads, time on page, and who was visiting and then coming back. So that was another thing that was really, really important, to be able to see like, oh, this person has been on this page like 12 times and they haven't converted yet. And the other side of this is more the earned media side, is like really thinking about who your champions are from the beginning. So as we were building this landing page, what we talked to our program teams about is that we had some pilots prior to this. We had some pilot counties. So we had a district attorney who was really excited about the work, really excited about sharing. And because all 58 district attorneys were, in contact, we were able to get a testimonial. And if you think about, you can read up a lot on landing pages, but what ultimately you're trying to do is you're trying to convince and convert, right? And so it is not enough for us, Code for America, who district attorneys could know nothing about, could know a little bit about, could be skeptical. What we knew we had to do is we had to have the voice of another district attorney that is saying, hey, I found this really, really helpful, and I have partnered with this organization. Therefore, I'm kind of giving my stamp of approval to add some legitimacy. So if you think about this in like the just general tech world, this is usually your customers, right? There's customer testimonials on like every page of your website. And so this is one thing that I think is really important to point out, that it's not different. People want to see what other marketers want to see what other marketers are doing. Other program people want to see what other program people are doing. And when you're thinking about government partners, it's the same thing. And so there is, one pro tip here is you can read up on landing pages if you're excited, but really just thinking about page hierarchy, consistency in your content, being really clear, and not using a lot of words. And there's a lot of blogs and tools out there, but one really good place to go to is HubSpot. They've got tons of documentation to kind of walk you through building the ultimate landing page. Yeah. So step 5, thinking through how do we develop an integrated approach, and how do we create this compelling message? You do want, as I mentioned before, you want to keep this consistent messaging. You need to keep it consistent across all channels. Different people come in on different channels and their paths could be completely different. And so if you're trying to drive a message home, you could have a whole team and they could all kind of be coming in from different places, and you want to make sure that you're communicating the same thing across the board. You want to focus on your value. Your marketing team knows how to communicate the value of your product or your program or your organization, and you need to do so really, really clearly. And you also need to align all teams. You also have to remember when you're working with program and product teams, along with marketing, you want to make sure that everyone has a clear sense. You might have shared values, and marketing may have some of their own as well, right? But you still need that alignment to make sure that everyone is on board and that there's not anything that is conflicting. And then you want to balance needs. So you as a marketer also have to have the brand in mind, right? So you want to keep consistency, and you want to make sure that you're still upholding the programmatic needs as well. And so if you can do, kind of as a marketer, you need to be kind of juggling all of these things at one time. And so that can look like making sure you have a clear and consistent voice across all of your social channels, right? What does it look, what is the look and feel of your emails? Another really important thing is making sure that from the moment that they hit that landing page, that there is some sort of visual consistency between your landing page and where they're ending up. So that could be in the email, that could be on your website. You want to make sure that people don't get confused. Like, am I in the right place? And then how do I know if I'm getting it right? Build a really strong dashboard and keep track. So there are tons of tools out there. You can think about Data Studio. You can think about HubSpot. You can think about spreadsheets. For this in particular, we were using HubSpot, but our program and product team had a lot of just regular Excel sheets. And so we were building Zaps through Zapier to make sure that they were just getting the information that they needed, but in the mode that they have always been working, which was Excel, and that is fine. And so make sure that you're not just like reinventing the wheel, but like, how can this work for all of us? And how can we get the information that we all need in real time? As I mentioned, I think for Clear My Record, we thought about the brand identity a lot, because we're dealing with multiple different type of stakeholders. So people that are living with convictions, they really need to land somewhere that they can trust. Same with district attorneys. And those two groups might not always trust one another. So it was really important for us to be a neutral ground and be really clear in what we were offering. Alrighty, this is my favorite step, one of my favorite steps. Stay relevant and keep iterating. Like, it is important to keep experimenting. Things like marketing is ever changing. There is a new thing every day, where I just hopped on Clubhouse yesterday and was like, what is this? So you always have to be thinking about like, what is new, take risks, have fun. We have been talking a lot at Code for America about like measuring what matters. What does that mean to us? And so in the marketing context, the way that I've thought about that is we all have vanity metrics, right? And those look like likes, reach, impressions, volume, all important things, but they might not always get you to your goal. And so for us, right, like traffic to a landing page is great to know. It's great to know that there's a lot of people going there. If no one converted, we would not meet our goal of needing to get, you know, close to 43% of folks on board. And so we knew that we needed to actually focus on 2 points: a download of the tool and a download of the guide, because that got us closer to understanding, okay, it sounds like this county is really, really interested. We can follow up. And so conversion was the most important metric for us. And so if you're a larger scale org, you can think about Salesforce. If you're kind of small to mid-size, I highly recommend HubSpot. It just gives you are able to be agile, you are able to move quickly. And sometimes Salesforce can be a little bit daunting. You can also use both. So it really, really just depends, but you have a lot of flexibility in a tool like HubSpot. So that's the reason why our team has used it and have just been able to test a lot of different things and really push the envelope on how we use the platform. So I think it just depends about what stage you're at, and always happy to answer questions of like what feels like a good fit for you. So step number 7, know what success looks like. Get really clear on what success looks like for you. Some people, we like to say, like, what is paint done? What does success look like for us through each one of these objectives? Make sure that everyone is on the same page. This is so important, because if you are not, success will look different across different teams. And then check back with your program team and close the loop, right? So really get an understanding of, just because you have built this campaign, you want to keep a pulse on, like, are you getting calls, right? Where are people getting stuck? Are they confused? Is there a piece of the content that they're not understanding, right? Like, those are all important things to help you all get to your goals. And you want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So for Clear My Record, knowing what success looks like, we, if you think back to how I outlined the goals, we wanted to reach at least 43% of district attorneys. We wanted to contribute to our overall goal of influencing over 250,000 convictions by the end of the year. And we wanted to demonstrate what a model for this look like. How could other states think about this? What does automatic record clearance look like in practice? And what does that unlock? And so I'm proud to say that we were able to get 24 out of the 58 counties to fully process using the tool. We found that a lot of the counties just found the documentation really, really helpful. They had the IT teams to be able to do it and process their data sets on their own, but they really needed the guidance to walk through what is eligibility? How do you map eligibility? What should we be thinking about? What are we missing? So we were able to influence that. We were able to kind of help steward and guide, and this is what kind of came out in the press, of over 220,000 convictions, people seeing relief for those convictions in the state of California. And we've been able to build the blueprint for what this looks like across the nation. And so there are states all over across the nation that are really grappling with, like, what does this look like? What does justice look like? What can automatic record clearance look like? And it looks different across the board, but California was a really, really good proof point for that. So it was really exciting for our team to be able to see these results almost in, a year and a half, 2 years, and continue to do so. So we're continuing to learn, continuing to iterate, continuing to get the message out there and see what's in store for the next states that are on board. So we are back to this slide. We have gone through the 7 steps of my marketing roadmap. And we've learned how to create actionable marketing strategy that drives impact, really from ideation to implementation. And so I would love to hear from you all and open it up for Q&A.